We're at Freedomland Cemetery this morning. We're here to try and save a cemetery that's been lost for over 105 years to the public.
I really truly think it is one piece of history that people aren't aware of. It. It's absolutely phenomenal.
In the 1800s and in the state of Indiana, the cemeteries were segregated. So if you were African American, you had to have a specific place to be laid to rest, and it would only be African Americans there.
And on the deed, which was 1854, it was called the Colored People's Burial Ground. I think it is the largest and oldest African American cemetery in the state of Indiana.
Was put out as far from the city of New Albany as possible, all the way out to the furthest reaches in the hillside, tucked in here and almost impossible for anybody to get to. In fact, they charged a dime toll for the loved ones to even bury their kin folks here, or anybody to come up to visit them were charged for that as well. So it was pretty well put here to be forgotten, and it was.
When people read about or hear about the early history of the founding of New Albany, they hear about the white people. They hear about the Scribner family, but they don't hear anything about the other people who were here, and that is the African Americans. The African American people came to this area as early as the white people. New Albany itself did not have a separate city cemetery for African Americans. So where were African American people buried? Well, what we know of today as Freedomland.
In late 1990s, a group of children from St. Ellen Jones in New Albany, they adopted the cemetery for a couple of years on a project that put in gravel road, they put in plaques that they had personally carved out themselves, and they changed the name from Colored People's Burial Ground to Freedomland Cemetery.
They chose it because people who were buried there were freed up from all of the burdens that came with being African American in that kind of atmosphere where they were really put down by the laws of the land and by people's attitudes. They called it Freedom Land for, I think, another reason, and that is that we don't really know, but we believe there had to have been former slaves who were buried there, who probably passed away after they were freed from Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation.
The Emancipation Proclamation did a lot for those types of things to change to where African Americans could be buried anywhere, at any cemetery, closest to their loved ones, not buried in the hills of Floyd Knobs. If you can't get to see your loved one, I mean, it's very difficult. And then during these times right now, people feel that.
So I brought my kids with me today, and, having them kind of see firsthand what we were doing out here and how they can make a difference. I want them to recognize how privileged they are now, and I want them to be proud of their heritage and where they came from.
Right now, we've only located 250 some odd burial sites that we can prove, but the efforts today are to help change that. And that number is simply a seek and find number that was established in the 70s by a gentleman coming out and finding stones. My understanding is that they did not have a lot of money for a regular tombstone. So what you'll find is a rock in the ground that they call a fieldstone marker, and then there's a tombstone, but they represent the same thing. It's a marker of someone's grave. Then we could be, in my opinion, potentially looking at 1,000, and we're only seeing at the moment 250. So that's a very, very big undertaking. When we've raised a stone 10, 15 inches out of the ground, if we change history for 100 years, and people won't lose it again.
I've taught them a lot about how people were treated and how different things were. And I think it was good for them to see firsthand, the difference in this cemetery and cemeteries that they've been to where their family members are buried.
The adventure, if you've got that in you to try and uncover a piece of American history, hold it in your hand. And know that because you found it, that others forever can see it. That's pretty rewarding. You're uncovering an American historical relic, and you need to care for that as if it were your own, because it is your own history. This land's your land just like it's my land. It's important to everybody to understand that this is not something to hide from. I mean, everybody's got blemishes in their past. Our country's got hundreds of other things that are very, very shameful that we've done. But we don't need to bury the past. We can grow from it and use it.
I'm definitely going to find ways to implement this area's history into my curriculum, not just during Black History Month, but all of the time, because I think this goes beyond just 1 month a year.
People don't get it. They don't understand how important African American history is to our community.
We're not painting over our past. What we're doing is changing the course of our history with this cemetery.
Things aren't the way that they used to be, but changes still need to be made.
What I like to see change is what's changing. Seeing people out here like that, I don't even know. That's the change I want.